Hi, Journey Family Church. This is Amber. I just wanted to come to you tonight and give you prayer emphasis for this evening. Something that's been on my heart to talk about is marriage. And I know as soon as I say marriage, some of you might feel like this isn't going to apply to you. But I just encourage you to wait and see what the Lord has for you in this. So one thing that I can confidently speak about is the testimony of what Jesus Christ has done in my life. And it's just not one thing. He hasn't just brought me through one thing. He's brought me through so many things in my life, from drug addiction to envy to jealousy, bitterness, anxiety. I could really tell you a million things of what Jesus has done in my life, but tonight I want to focus on what he has done in my marriage. About 10 years ago, I was very unhappy in my marriage, and I felt like I was the only one who knew that. It was something that I kind of kept private, and on the outside made it look like everything was good. But on the inside and inside my home, I felt very lonely, very unhappy, and like I said, I thought that was something that I kept to myself until my best friend, Kristen, came to me one day and said that her and her husband had went to a conference, a Christian conference called the Weekend to Remember, and she thought that Travis and I really needed to attend it. And right away I was like, no thank you, not interested. That's not something that either of us would be at all interested in. But she pushed so much and finally told me that she believed in this so much and believed that Travis and I needed it so badly that she went ahead and already paid for the conference and booked our hotel at the Radisson, and that we were going to go to this Weekend to Remember conference. So being that it was at the Radisson, a really nice hotel, and it was already paid for, I got Travis to agree, and we went to the conference. And when we were there, things got very dicey. The first night we were listening to a speaker, a woman, and she said when she was speaking that there was a time where her and her husband had completely drifted apart. They were focused on their own lives. They were very self-indulged in what was going on in their own lives. Their marriage was just drifting. Things were just really bad between them. And it got to the point where one night this woman went and talked to her husband, and she just looked at him and said, I feel nothing for you anymore. I'm not angry, I'm not sad, I'm not anything. I don't feel anything for you anymore. That's how bad we've drifted apart. And that really hit home for me, because I felt like she was speaking right to me, because that's exactly what I was feeling inside my home. I felt like Travis and I had become roommates. And so I really related to her so much that night that we went back to our hotel room. We were supposed to be getting ready for a date night, and I stopped and I just looked at Travis and I said, I need to be honest with you about something. I felt everything that woman was saying tonight. I feel the exact same way, Travis. And after I said that, I looked at him and he just stared back at me with a blank face and said, I feel that way too. And that's where things got really bad. I erupted. I was so angry that he felt that he had a right to be unhappy in our marriage. I felt like I was the only one that had that right. I was bending over backwards for him. I encouraged him. I loved him well. I did everything I could to make him happy. I just felt like he had no reason to be unhappy in our marriage. So that statement that he felt the same way just really wrecked my world. And to the point where I was crying, he actually cried. It was very serious, to the point where we started packing our bags, our suitcases, and we were gonna go home, because what was the point of being at this marriage conference if there was nothing left of our marriage? But God. Thankfully, we have a God who restores and redeems us and sees us through those times. And Travis and I are fortunate enough to know that our marriage wasn't based on feelings, if we're having a bad day or feeling bad for a month or a week, that our marriage was God honoring and a commitment. And the commitment aspect is what kept us even there that weekend. We had a commitment that we needed to honor before the Lord. So we stayed at the conference that night. The next day, the same speaker was talking, and what she said that day really changed our marriage and my life. She was talking about how She was looking for her husband for so many things. She was looking for validation through him. She was looking for love and encouragement and worth and value. And she wanted to find that all in her husband and how her husband made her feel. And she said, finally, God spoke to her very clearly and said, I did not even equip your husband to do those things for you. That's what I'm here for. That's what Jesus is for. He's there to be our rock, to be our comforter, to be our support, to assign our value and our worth, to make us feel beautiful, to make us just understand unconditional love. That is what Christ is for. He did not give that obligation to any other human on this earth. He did not give that to our husbands. He did not give that to our parents. He did not put that in anyone else's hands but his. And so that really changed my perspective in my marriage that night, that I had to realize that I needed to look at God for those things and not to my husband. Like he can help and aid in those things, but the number one thing is to look to Christ for your value and for your worth, and to allow him to fill that in you and not expect someone else, another relationship, a husband, a friend, a parent, to give you that validation. So that really changed a lot for us, and that really changed how I viewed our marriage. And now we're still going strong, and it's better than it's ever been, and we owe that all to Christ. So right now, when we take a few minutes just to pray, I'm going to encourage you to pray for marriages. Pray for your parents' marriage, your children's marriage, your children's future spouses. Pray for your neighbors, because especially in this time of quarantine where our lives have been changed up so much, and maybe some of us are spending way more time with our spouses than we ever have before. You don't know what marriages are thriving and which marriages are hanging on by a thread. So I just encourage you right now to take the time just to pray for any marriage that God lays on your heart.